Hey everybody, welcome to Star Labs Confidential's live stream. For with me today, I have director Dylan Odom and Michael Wilson, better known as Mick Grimes here, as we're going to talk about their latest project, To Infinity.
Hey guys, how's it going? Great to be here. Appreciate you having me on, Brian.
I'm glad you guys responded to my email with this.
Of course, yeah. I mean, it's as we've spoken a little bit before here, and as you know, I can talk about this all day. So, um, but this is exciting. I'm happy to do it, and I'm glad we have we have Woody here with us live.
Nice.
Well, it's not. I'm glad you got Woody here live, guys. I wouldn't want to be without y'all.
Yeah, no, I'm glad too. I mean, we were having a little bit of technical issues there, but we seem to have it figured out. So
Yeah.
Woody is a technical issue, dude.
technically,
Yeah. Sorry about that, everyone, but now we got everything situated. So, I guess for the first question that I want to ask is, how did this project get started?
that's a Woody question. I'm kidding. No, I mean, I've said this before in other places, but this is, I mean, it began kind of selfishly because I was really just doing this for my daughter. She's still to this day an avid Toy Story fan, but her first film that she saw in theaters was Toy Story 4, and that was 4 years ago. And ever since then, I mean, so many things have happened with this project, but really, I just wrote it so that it would be a fake trailer for a fake movie that would never come out. Nobody would ever see it but her. And then I just got curious as a filmmaker and started writing, and I ended up with this 90-page screenplay for a full-length feature film version of this story. And essentially, I just spammed Disney for 2 years before they got back with me, and so here we are. We're we're doing it, and it's wild, but I'm thankful. But yeah, I mean that's basically it in a nutshell.
Nice. Just one sec, 1 second here. Almost forgot to do this part.
Recording in progress.
That's just a backup.
Sure.
That's just for my end. No, but still, that's still impressive. That what started us is something uniquely how you wanted to design for your daughter. It's nice that you did. I'll start from there, and now it's become a bigger thing, especially with working with people like Mike here, as well as with Kevin Porter doing Woody and Buzz. I'd say that definitely got quite a bit of attention on social media.
Yeah, it did. I mean, of course, I'm always, I'm blessed to be able to do it at all, and I'm happy. But as far as getting to work with people like Mike and everybody else that's come along in this project, I'm still a fan myself, and I think that that's what makes this. It brings a charm to it. Is that I haven't been in this business for so long that this isn't lost on me at this point. I enjoy doing this as much as if any other fan had the chance to do this. So I mean, though I've had experience in filmmaking and doing things like this, this is something that kind of pairs up the right thing to do and something that I love to do at the same time, and that's very rare.
Agreed. But that's something I want to ask with you, Mike. Like I guess when it comes to playing Woody, what did you use to help to get in a character? Like, did you look at from the previous Toy Story movies, or just something else?
Well, Dylan asked me to watch Aliens and Cowboys, and so I watched that. That was a pretty wild movie. And as far as Woody, not really making it like the Toy Story movie, kind of just making Woody my own.
Yeah, that's
because he,
true.
because he's kind of like in the 1800s, and kind of the Toy Story stuff is modern day, where this is back in the day. So you kind of gotta throw in some Western kind of Woody. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, if I can jump off of that as well, you know, we want it to be as familiar as possible, but my mindset when writing this originally was that you can imagine, even in modern times, that, you know, things that sheriffs go through on a daily basis is probably pretty taxing. It's probably pretty, you know, it's a lot on somebody. And so just to think that combined with how hard life had to have been in what time period we're in, which we've placed in the 1870s, which is, you know, accurate Wild West history, I think that would be very taxing on somebody. And so, you know, I'm fully fine giving this away. This isn't any sort of spoiler or anything, but, you know, when we meet Woody, he's not the Woody that we are familiar with yet. And so, you know, I thought that was important because the point that I wanted to get to, the goal that I wanted for this film was, as far as story, I wanted you to be able to watch this and immediately watch the very first Toy Story film and understand now why these characters have these characteristics and the way that they interact with one another, why their personalities are the way that they are. And this film does explain that.
Yeah, I agree, because it's always interesting to see, like, the origins for these characters. I mean, it's kind of all the hit nowadays, especially when Disney does, like, their villain origin movies.
Yeah. I mean, their live action stuff that they've done, I mean, I have a lot of respect for it at the same time. And, you know, origin stories are kind of a run-of-the-mill thing at this point, and they're done a lot, but at the same time, this is something that I feel every fan, if you could say that you're a fan of Toy Story, this is something that you want to see. This is something that you would want. You know, this isn't, if somebody said, I'm doing a live action Toy Story, you know, I'd even got a message where I was asked this, were we doing stop motion with actual toys, or were we going to, like, digitally have, like, toys, you know, moving and stuff? And I was like, no, this is as if they were real people. This is what it would have been like.
Yeah, because then I was thinking, like, what if you did, like, that whole, like, weird, like, makeup prosthetic thing where they look like toys, but it's still like people and stuff. You know, it reminds you of, like, I think
That's creepy.
Yeah, like what they did with Tim Allen, the Santa Claus.
I got a few messages just a minute ago. They said it was struggling to hear it. Like it could be louder.
Ah, okay. Just 1 second. All right. Things should be good right now.
Okay, cool, man.
All right.
Yeah, let us know. And I know that, you know, we're doing the comments here. If you got any in the live chat, I know with this being on your page, I know you would probably see it, but we can't currently see that. But yeah, I'd love to answer any of the questions. I know there's been a lot of people that have been reaching out for updates. And, you know, I'd love to be able to, you know, talk with everybody.
Yep. Yeah, that's same for anyone watching this. If you have any questions about with the film, the actors, feel free to send them to here whenever you get the chance. Yeah, because so far everyone's just mostly asking about with the audio thing, but I increased the level so they should be able to hear you guys a little bit more. Let's see, just okay. Everyone can hear everything?
I hear you.
Oh yeah, I hear you.
All right. I'd say, I guess, our next question is, I guess, like, how do you make sure, I guess, you didn't get, like, in trouble with Disney and Pixar to make sure, like, not only to have this be done, but also to present this in theaters?
Having it presented in theaters, and those were sort of two separate ideas. So I was absolutely positive I was going to get a no, or that I was just never going to get an answer. I mean, 2 years of sending essentially the same email over and over and over. You don't think that, you know, eventually at one point I just, you know, I was like, okay, I guess it's just not going to happen. But that's all part of the fair use agreement that I do have with them, and it does have some stipulations, and one of them being that I cannot make any sort of profit off of their property, their IP there, and which, I've had no issue with that. That was a score for me, because that means I get to do this and not have to worry about it, because otherwise, you have companies that I have very much respect for, of course, and like companies like Bat in the Sun, and they do these things, and but I wanted this to be more than that. I wanted this to be more than just what would be considered a fan film. I am a fan, but this is not, this isn't that. And as far as the theaters go, that was a separate deal that I had to do and reach out, and luckily AMC theaters were very kind about it. Through our stipulations in that fair use agreement, it had to be what's considered a soft release, and so that means I can't go over 99 theaters. So 99 theaters is what we're at, and we will be able to show this as a limited release, meaning just a few weeks. But it's, I can't say that as if it's something bad. I mean, that's incredible.
I agree. Yeah,
I sometimes don't really think about it like that, but it really is crazy.
Yeah, but it's going to get out there. So I think, to be honest with you, the biggest draw for the movie and the advertisement of the movie is that it is free for people to see.
Absolutely.
That's going to get its own advertisement itself.
Agreed.
Yeah, of course.
And we got a question from Super Duper. Is, I guess, when can we expect the movie?
Super Duper. That is a great question. As far as what we're doing right now is we're following this strike, and with everything in that, and some of the additions that we've had recently to our crew and cast, that means that we kind of have to sit on our hands and hurry up and wait, and so that all kind of gets held up with that, unfortunately. But that also does have some good to it, because we want to not rush it, and we want to make sure that it is worth asking people for. We started this with a crowd fund. We started this by literally asking fans to help us make this film, and I mean, fortunately, we had some very awesome people come through and help us with that. But I would never want someone to walk out of the theater and go, I understand why that was free. So I know that kind of is a roundabout answer, Super Duper, but as far as when, we can't even know that until we know what's going to happen with this strike.
Yeah, unfortunately, this strike's affecting everything. Not both the big leagues and with people like us, and the big leagues is just no escaping. But hopefully something.
I was going to say, let me stop you there. Don't small time us now, because we're just because I'm a regular guy. I'm a super normal guy. I know you didn't mean to offend or anything, but this isn't going to be some small thing. This is Michael Wilson at his finest, doing Woody and Buzz Lightyear in real life. I mean, can you imagine? This isn't a fan film that we put on YouTube.
Oh yeah. No, I imagine this is definitely the real deal. Yeah, no, I just meant like in terms of like like how like this strike's affecting everyone, whether it's like we're independent, whereas like independent companies, or even like big conglomerates like Disney and Warner Brothers. That's all I meant.
Yeah, no, I know. I was just making sure. I had to rip you there for a second. No, but that's it. I kind of have to look at it both ways. As much as I want to say it's unfortunate, it's only unfortunate for the viewers right now. The people that are out there striking, I'm completely behind them. And this is, I never go off on any sort of political, type of nonsense. But I'm with those people who are out there trying to make sure everybody is treated fairly, fully behind it.
Agreed. Yes. That's one thing I guess I was curious for with Mike is I was curious when was being I guess you could say Mick Grimes, was that your first major thing to do before being involved with this film, or was there more to your career?
Well, to be honest with you, I've been in a few plays in my church and stuff like that, but basically being Mick Grimes was pretty much once I found out that I looked like somebody and we started doing all that, I started making videos. Well, videos kind of helped me because it's kind of like you're acting in these videos that we're making parodies of, and I'm basically, this is going to be my first major role, so I'm gonna need all your prayers too, brother.
Yeah, because I remember when I saw the I think the first behind the scenes clip with you and Woody, I like the interaction that you two had. It felt it was different than what I remember growing up with the original Toy Story films. But I felt that's how could I imagine Woody and Buzz if they were in real life.
Yeah,
that's what we try to get over.
Yeah, I always, as somebody who is putting together content or, making a film or just doing anything in entertainment, you always want to leave everybody with their own interpretation of what you're doing, of course. But if I could share the intention behind that interaction, I'd love to. And that intention was that in the animated films, Woody was always the leader. He's always the hero. He's always the man. Everybody looks to him for that guidance. Now, in this world, that is what he is. His town looks to him as the hero, as this local legend. He's this myth. But he knows that, when faced with something that is as mind-boggling as something coming from outer space, especially something that looks like us, Buzz Lightyear, that would be very jarring to our mind. And I think our intention was just stand as strong as you possibly can in the face of this, otherwise terrifying thing. But our job is not to show it. We want to feel it, but we're not showing it.
Agreed. Well, I want to say though, with Mike, when I've seen clips of you as doing Mick Grimes, it is so convincing. It's almost spot on. Until I looked at the details, I thought for sure if that was the actual Rick Grimes, it just you two could be twins.
Yeah, I have been told that before, sir.
Yeah, even now, with the beard and the hair, it's just I don't know, it's just it's just very convincing. It's spot on. I say probably perfect recreation of the Rick look.
And he's not even. This is just him on a Saturday.
Just me out of the shower.
Yeah. Although we got another question from Rhonda Otis.
Oh no.
Oh, Rhonda.
Where is this movie filmed?
We filmed the teaser out in Georgia, down near Savannah, and the bulk of the film will actually be filmed out in Kansas in a preserved, actually, period 1870s Western town that has been preserved by the state, and it's It has a bank. It has a saloon. It's the most beautiful. Give me just a second. Sorry. It has the most, like, it is insane. When you actually walk into this place, it feels like you step back in time, because they have made sure to keep everything, kept so that it doesn't deteriorate or anything. And I went there last year. I flew out there for about a week, and I was blown away. It's beautiful.
Nice. Yeah, because I guess I was curious, like, where you guys filmed. Is that, like, pretty close to where The Walking Dead was normally filmed at?
I think a lot of The Walking Dead was filmed up in North Georgia.
Okay, because I know like for Georgia, like it's usually a.
No, but what you're thinking, I think, is the Savannah, where we were filming that trailer, is close to where they did Oceanside in Walking Dead.
Okay, yeah. And they just shot some Fear the Walking Dead down there as well.
Gotcha, yeah, because Georgia's a pretty good place for a lot of filming to be done there, whether it's Walking Dead or anything else, depending on, like, what they're looking for in terms of they want, like, unique like suburbs area or other cities that's not Chicago or New York.
Yeah, and the big thing is
Hollywood. Yollywood, baby.
Yep. Yeah, Georgia's tax breaks on filmmaking is huge, and that's why a lot of even Atlanta is home to just about all of the Avengers or Marvel MCU films since I want to say like Spider-Man: Homecoming.
Huh. Interesting. Yeah. So you figure nowadays for most of those Marvel movies they just use like green screens.
Well, I'm sure they do have sound stages out there, but even Tyler Perry owns an entire neighborhood up near Atlanta because he uses that as the backdrop for his films.
That's true.
It's crazy.
Yeah. So that's what I was curious. Like, for this movie, we'll be seeing any other cameos or Easter eggs, the links to Toy Story or other Pixar movies?
Absolutely. That was always fun because as a fan, and even as somebody who just loves movies, we're always looking for those things. But as far as like Easter eggs and stuff, that's sort of sprinkled subtly throughout. I really don't like it when films beat you over the head with it, or like you have to find that in between where it's almost like you feel like as a viewer you spotted something that maybe somebody else didn't. I love stuff like that. As far as cameos and stuff like that, we have made deals with certain people, and I'm being vague about that on purpose, because of the strike. We can't make any sort of major announcements because we would not want to get anyone in trouble, of course. So, but yes, we do have cameos, and we will have some very familiar names and faces.
Okay, because I was wondering if for the story there's going to be more than just Woody and Buzz together, because I imagine that we would see maybe Little Bo Peep, or maybe some take on the Slinky Dog or Mr. Potato Head somewhat, like maybe not the actual Mr. Potato Head, but at least someone that could look like him.
Tell him who Slinky is.
Yep. I'm gonna say we're gonna say it like this. We're gonna check all those boxes you just said.
All right, nice, yeah. So I guess that's one thing I was also wondering about. Exactly, like, what is the plot? Is there anything more you can tell about the plot besides like where, that's in around late 1800s, Buzz crashes down on Earth, meets Woody? Like, is there more to this? Is it like just like Woody trying to help Buzz like to fix his spaceship and get back to like his back up into space, or is there something else happening?
There's something else happening entirely, actually. It's more of a it's a mix between a sci-fi western, of course, and with some murder mystery, and there's some moments that will warm your heart, and there's some parts that you might need some tissues. So I mean, and all of that with humor, and it just needed it's grounded. It's real life. So.
Oh, nice. Okay. Yeah, that'll be good. Yeah, because it's always interesting to see how with characters that you grew up with, where can you take, what kind of directs can you take with them that may be so different but it still feels like the same. So to speak.
It's instantly familiar. And that was the whole point of it, is like, you already know who these people are, so we don't have to spend an entire film introducing them. This may be perceived as an origin, but in some ways we will start this film knowing who these people are already, but we're just going to get to kind of peek a little bit behind the curtain, on each of these characters, and what motivates them, and what their missions are. And I think it allows us to, like I said, that the whole point, you're going to finish this, and then you're going to go, oh, that's why this person and this person always acted this way with one another, or this is why this person always had this attitude.
Yeah, I agree. Next, we got another question from Hollywood Glams McMullen. Here's the name.
Ooh,
what can we do as fans besides share?
Actually, that's great. I wasn't planning on announcing this probably until late next month, but we'll go ahead and talk about it now. We did start a campaign to help crowdfund to supplement what our goals would be to make this as as big as we possibly could, and as a first-time person, not just making a feature-length film, but as somebody who has never ran a crowdfund, I didn't have a lot of strategy to, the marketing campaign. And so what we're going to do is we would like to start another campaign at the end of next month that will allow fans to have a bigger role in what is going on with this, as well as offer some bigger perks, and one that I will say right now is, like, if you would like to actually be a part in this, as far as one of the people that live in this town, that is something that we will be offering through this crowdfund campaign. Of course, sharing is huge. I definitely appreciate everybody that has been sharing, and we ask that you guys would continue to share and continue to talk about it, because that's really what makes it happen. We aren't Warner Brothers or Disney or any of these big companies, so we don't have access to that same level of marketing available, and so you guys have been a huge help with that.
Good to know about that, because we got another question from Kaylin Mullins. I'm going to say this is more directly towards with you, Mike. What inspires you most about Woody?
What inspires me most about Woody would be that, he was kind of, he's kind of a leader. And, he was pretty much looked up to. And, so, I mean, I just hope I do it justice, but that's because, like Dylan was saying, like in the old movies, like everybody looked up to him, everybody respected him, everybody, asked him his advice and stuff like that. So, that's what really inspires me about it.
Nice.
And I want to try to portray that as best I can.
Yeah, absolutely.
Makes sense, yeah. Yeah, and a little curious with Mike for your career, like what's the most crazy or most unique story that has ever happened to you since you started acting?
Are you talking to me?
Yes.
Was this for me? Well, the I had some. I did some Gotham Knights, but I was just a background actor at Gotham Knights, that series, and it was like that was one of the first times I'd really been on a set and listening to the clicks and all that stuff and everything, and it was like I remember one time. What's funny was there was a chaotic scene in the hospital, so it was already chaos, and as I was walking by the camera, my phone went off and started playing The Walking Dead.
Oh boy.
As I was walking in, it was like the only day my wife called me, and I'm like, really? Like right after he said action, it went off. And the lady screamed and said, the producer said, who had the phone? And I'm like, well, I'll see y'all all later. I'm probably going to be going home now. It's been nice working with you. And she goes, it's chaotic. I think it'll work. She goes, but then she looked at me and she said, but Grimes, turn your phone down.
That's funny.
That's perfect.
So I'm glad that she kept her cool somewhat.
And he said, well, the guy that was like sets you up and moves you around, he said, dude, I don't know how you got away with that because the last guy's phone went off. He didn't make it after the end of the day.
So. Yeah, but it's always nice to work on shows and sets where you don't have to work around people like that. That's something that we have both talked about that I love about this project is that we aren't those companies, and so in as many ways as you could look at that as not a good thing, I see so many ways that it is, and that's one of them is that we treat each other like human beings. If somebody's phone goes off, it's like that's such a I mean just turn it off. It's okay.
Yeah, it's just like it's nothing out of the world, and because like it's not like we're doing a live event like here, just like you can do as many takes as you need for some scenes, just maybe like for some actions that require like maybe some explosions or pyrotechnics, maybe that don't worry about don't have your phone with you, but yeah,
you said it. That's literally what I told Mike, because when I reached out to him and he was like, I'm going to be honest with you, I haven't really done a lot of this, and I was like, man, honestly, that is the charm of this, is that I'm a guy who has a background in directing music videos. So nobody would have ever came to me and said, hey, can you direct a feature-length film? But that's why it's happening now. It feels like, we've kind of coined this as this is the story where the little guy wins, and with Mike, I was like, I don't care how many takes we got to do. You are Woody. You're the guy. I'm not talking to anybody else. And anybody who has ever gotten to know Mike, I know some of our fans from TikTok are on here right now and have commented. But if you got to know Mike personally, he stole me by the second conversation that we had. I mean, I was like, I wanted to give longer and sort of talk and get to know, but there was a specific conversation that he and I had, and I got off the phone and I was like, that's the guy. That is the guy. And I remember I called him back like the next day, and I don't know if I could just almost hear in his voice where he was like, oh, he's about to tell me no. And I was just like, no. I prayed about it. And I feel like God himself told me, like, Michael Wilson is your guy.
That's good, yeah.
No matter how many takes it takes.
I don't care.
Yeah. Oh, we got another question from Rhonda. How long have you been working on this to get it going?
This is year 4. Yeah, I mean that I could go on and on about all of that, but you know we're here now. I'm very happy with where we're at and what we're looking forward to, and I am hoping that this strike ends soon. But you know, I hope that obviously the outcome being fortunate for those who are picketing right now. But I'm. It's been a long journey. I'm tired.
Yeah. Although pretty much as far as for like the filming with everything, you got that pretty much all set with the whole story and everything, though, right?
What aspect?
Like pretty much like have you gotten like every scene needed for the film, or is there still like some things left to get?
Oh no, as far as what needs to be filmed, the bulk of the film still is needing to be is actually needing to be done. The as far as story, the story's been completed for years now. But what we still need to film, you know, as I think we got the project or we got the teaser filmed back in June, and it was in the second week of July that the strike started, and that I mean that puts a hold on everything, especially when you know we did start getting reached out to by notable names in the industry. It's like you can't put that person's career on the line, or you know, I know a big thing is that you could be fined a large amount of money, and or just be have your SAG revoked from you for working on projects during this thing right now, and that's not something I'm willing to risk somebody else's career or anything like that. I don't want to be responsible for that. So we're just trying to do it the right way. And but yeah, year 4.
Gotcha. Well, here's hope for the future.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I guess the next question, for Mike is like, out of curiosity, were you always like a Walking Dead fan before you started doing the Mick Grimes cosplay?
Not at all, sir. Never watched it.
Ah, I guess it's
you gotta tell them the story though. You gotta tell them the story.
Well, what happened was I used to be kind of a little bit bigger than I am now. But I had surgery and I was in and out of the hospital back and forth like over years, periods of times. But over the whole having the surgery and doing everything that I had to go through, I had lost a bunch of weight. And I went and I grew my beard because I was fixing to shave my beard off, and my son said, "It's no shave November. Don't shave your beard." So I didn't shave my beard. My hair had grown long, and so I went back to work at Home Depot. And right when I walked in the door, the guy in the paint department said, "Dang, dude, where have you been?" And I said, "Well, I kind of like almost died, and I was in the hospital for a long time." And he said, "Man, you look like Rick Grimes." And I'm like, "Who's that?" And he's like, "Dude, you've never watched The Walking Dead. You got to go home and watch it." So I did. And I came back the next morning and told him, "I don't look like that guy. That dude don't even have a beard." He goes, "No, you got to go to like 4. And so when we finally got to 4, I was like, I looked at my wife. She looked at me. And one time my granddaughter was coming in the house, and I paused it because it was like, I don't want her seeing it. And it stopped on Rick, and she walked by the TV and said, "Papa," and just kept going, never stopped. So I was like, so it was kind of on.
Truth to this.
It was kind of on after that.
Wow, that's something. So, so did you ever continue watching the series after that point? Or
Oh, yeah, I've watched it all now. Yeah, it's a couple of times.
Wow, that's quite something, because, like, sometimes, hey, if you got the look, I think there's something with the odds of, like, how, like, there might be, like, one to two people that will look alike, even if they're not, like, twins or biological or anything, it's possible.
Yeah, I get Brad.
We actually have 2 more that kind of look just like the other guys too. We're actually called the Dead Ringers.
I bet,
Yeah, he works with some folks that also look a lot like some of the characters from The Walking Dead.
Yeah, like the guy that looks like Negan, like that's also very spot on. Like I thought for sure that was Fermo. I thought that too was the actual guy. Just like I figured like the two actors just got together and just like, you know, let's just make some stuff for fun, just with the strike and everything for a minute there.
Yeah.
Still,
That's great.
Yeah, no, it's good stuff. Oh yeah, I was trying to remember what I was getting ready to say, but that whole story and everything you just said, and you know, I wasn't purely going after, you know, Rick Grimes. It was, you know, in the beginning of this, in my mind when I was writing it, and this was 4 years ago, Mike and I had never met. I imagined that, you know, my Woody was going to be somebody who had just been through a lot of stuff, and it was almost, and then it popped into my head. I was like, kind of like, you know, season 2 or 3, around the point where, you know, Rick had to see his son walk out of the prison, having just, you know, had to take his own mother's life, and he, even in that moment, and this was something that I sent to Mike when we were kind of studying up on how we wanted to do this. I saw a video where there was like a body language analyst who was analyzing that scene, and he was pointing out the fact that, like, Rick was so sorry, I don't know why it keeps doing that. Rick was so determined to lead these people that even in this moment where he sees his son and he knows that his son has just taken his wife's life, and you know, he's doing all of these expressions and he's doing all these movements, but one of them that he continues to do is he keeps putting his hands on his hips, and that was a show to his group. That's a leader move. That's something that we do with our bodies instinctively when we're trying to assert authority in a room. And for him to be looking at his son, and we can visibly tell he is shaken, and now Rick is crying, and all of that inspired me. I was like, there's so much depth to that is beyond anything that we would have seen in these animated films. And I was like, that's Woody.
Yeah. Because I was wondering, as far as for the story, like if it's gonna be very dark and gritty. Because when I first saw like the poster, they got like, you know, Mick Grimes, and then with Kevin Porter, I was thinking like, oh boy, this is gonna be dark and gritty. Because when I think Walking Dead, like, you know, it's in that nature. Same with Kevin Porter, like, you know, he's no stranger to doing dark and gritty stuff given his history, But yeah, I think that's important for someone like Woody. Like, even if things are not going his way, he still has got to show some kind of leadership to showcase that he can still smile, or at least, you know, show people that everything's going to be okay.
Yeah, we saw examples of that throughout all of those films, and every time Woody was going through something, he never stopped. He literally would run towards the problem to save his friends from having to go towards that problem. That is all in the root of who this Woody is as well. We're just seeing him after a point of having gone through almost too much. But as far as to answer your question with it being dark and gritty, I don't like labeling anything like that, because when you tell people that something's dark and gritty, it's like you're telling them what to think about it. Like, are some of it's heavy? Are some parts of this heavy? Yeah, because it's real life and everyday life. You know, there's something that's going to happen that's going to be heavy, and that's what I mean. Like, there's going to be parts that, you know, make you feel a little bit of everything. But I personally wouldn't say gritty or dark. It's just real.
Makes sense. Which, yeah, and also want to know, like, when it came to, like, guess finding all the actors with this project, I meant, how did you find all these, like, I guess, how did you manage to get everyone you could for this project, like, through IMDb, IMDb or so, or connections?
I didn't use IMDb. It was a lot of luck. I mean, it was a lot of, I would reach out to some of these people just cold, and then there's people that I've been fortunate to meet through doing other projects that, would kind of point me in the right direction of who to talk to. And so some of them came, it feels like out of nowhere, and others, it just felt like it was meant to happen. And so, I mean, all of it feels like it's meant to happen. I'm very happy with it. I'm not sure how much time that you had left on this. I did just want to inform you, though. I feel like my stuff here is getting ready to die. So I know that's not the best thing to say during these things, but I just want to make sure I don't end up cutting out on you. But if I do, you guys are more than welcome to continue the conversation.
Gotcha.
Why are you cutting out?
I think it's dying.
What is?
My camera.
Charge it up.
I'm not close enough right now.
Oh, okay.
Okay, yeah, no worries, because I say we got through most of the questions. I guess the last thing I just want to ask is, I guess, in terms of, do you plan using any of the CGI and stuff with the film?
I mean, when you're talking beings coming from another planet, I think that's pretty implied. We definitely don't. We're not overdoing it. Definitely not overdoing it. But of course, there'll be, the big explosions and the big cool effects and stuff like that. It'll be a little bit of everything.
Gotcha. Because I remember, when I saw like all those like the Buzz like I guess armor, like that looks really cool. Like I wasn't sure how you guys are gonna be able to do that, but you found a way to make it work.
Yeah, no, we actually have somebody that's a costume builder that is building the physical suit, and of course you'll sort of mix in those shots in with ones that you will have to do some digital rendering on, but no, it will be a physical suit.
Nice. And like I say, just before we cut out, I was gonna put on the because you sent me a behind the scenes clip for the film, right?
Oh yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I forgot I did that.
Yeah, let's just roll it. Let's see if we can get this started. So
roll that beautiful bean footage.
I was just fixing to say that.
Not a problem. Let's see. It should be. Should be playing. Let's see. Okay, here we go. Okay, playback might be a little bit slow. Sorry, folks, technical difficulties.
That's okay. I can
Probably
actually, since we were going to do this as an exclusive on your show, I did send it to you. You're more than welcome. Tag us as a collaborator, and you can post that as an exclusive first look from your page.
Yeah. Sorry, I guess I think that's more of a Wi-Fi thing with the buffering.
That's all right. That's all right.
Well, I wanted to see it.
Glad you had us, and I enjoyed the conversation. We'll definitely be back and provide more updates when we're allowed to talk about more. But I appreciate you reaching out to us, definitely, and don't stop. I know sometimes I'm hard to get in touch with, but it's just spam me. I mean, that's the story of all of this. So just spam me.
Yeah, no worries. Sometimes I get cautious with that kind of thing, so I just want to ruffle anyone's feathers, being like repeatedly called or messaged over and over. But still, like, I just want to thank you both for being part of this, because it's always interesting to see like other directors that are around my age that have like these visions, ideas of what to do, whether it's like their own thing or want to do something based off something they grew up with. And whatever their reasoning is for creating this thing, it's unique, and it's something that I really want to help bring to the table.
Oh yeah, I mean, we appreciate it. Like I said, I'll talk about it forever until my camera dies. But yeah, no, I appreciate it, and yeah, I'm we're just blessed. Mike and I have gotten to know one another, and I'm happy to just have met him, to be honest. So, but I appreciate it.
Yep. And thanks to all you viewers for tuning in. So be sure to give To Infinity a follow on both Instagram and TikTok, as well as, of course, with Michael's own TikTok and other social media pages. And hopefully to see you guys next week for another live stream.
Sounds like a plan.
All right.